everyone, so we're back here in Hawaii and I'm visiting my family. So while I'm here, I thought I'll get my mom to show me one of the dishes that we used to eat when we were small. It's called Tofu or stuffed tofu. And whenever I crave it, I try to make it and I always have a hard time keeping the stuffing and the tofu. But my mom says it's really easy. So I'm gonna ask her to prove it by actually showing me how to do it. So just to go over some of the basic ingredients, my mom's not even paying attention. Here's the tofu, of course. I think the difference is probably because of the Hawaii style tofu. They make this Aloha Tofu brand, so people in Hawaii watching this will have a better, easier time making it because they make these huge tofu that's almost like a big block. So if you can get this block of tofu and the firm tofu, that'll be the best way to make this dish. Now, on the mainland in California where I'm at, the tofu is usually this size, sort of like a small 2-inch tofu. So I'm going to challenge my mom to also stuff it in this, because she says that it's still possible to stuff it in this smaller tofu, so we'll see. Now sometimes, first of all, she stuffs it with fish cake, so we got this from Chinatown. You just get any kind of fish cake. You can also use Japanese fish cake. Now sometimes when she stuffs it, the tofu, she'll stuff leftover in bell peppers, so I think that's kind of cool too, so she's going to make that as well. So, alright, so here's our tofu that we've cut into pieces. This is the Aloha tofu, which you can find in Hawaii, and it's the big block of tofu. My mom cut it into 4 slices and then cut it into these 4 little diamond shapes, and that's what we're going to stuff. So that makes it pretty easy, and also she sprinkled some salt to sort of marinate it and season it. Here is the smaller tofu that I usually find in the stores in the mainland, and this is what she figured she could do to cut it into pieces. She admitted that it was an awkward size, so this is her attempt to make it into some kind of carrier to stuff the fish cake in. So hopefully these will work, but this is what she normally works with. This is what I have to deal with in the mainland. Okay, so we're gonna mix the fish cake. My mom throws in some green onion that I chopped earlier. It looks about 2 tablespoons, and then she adds sesame oil, about 1 tablespoon, and then now she's gonna put cornstarch, which will help. Sorry, I thought it was cornstarch she was looking for. It was actually white ground pepper. Oops, that's a lot. Probably 2 teaspoons, I would guess. Or yeah, maybe you should just season it to your taste. So we just mix all these ingredients. Now my mom says it will also taste good if you chop up some water chestnut, which we didn't get at the market. But if you want, that'll add a nice little crunchy texture to it, to the stuffing. So you could probably get a can of water chestnut and then chop it up. And then now we're ready to stuff it. Alright, so we're gonna stuff it. My mom's using the ones that came in the smaller version that I find on the mainland. So she says that you can create a pocket. See how she created a pocket, and then now she's gonna stuff it in. So some of it goes into the pocket, but then she also goes a little outside. That's one. She says if you don't want to create a pocket, then you just make a slit, and then you can just kind of shove it in. But she says she likes it with the pocket. It's a little easier, I bet. Oh, so she's creating a big pocket. And then I noticed that she mixes the tofu back into the filling so that we don't waste the tofu. So we're stuffing the bell peppers. It's a little easier to handle the bell peppers compared to the tofu, since the tofu is so sort of soft. So I like to sort of use this leftover, because we're using like a pound of fish cake. Gives us a lot, so we can use that. Now if I made this at home, I'll probably just use half a pound of fish cake and put the other half a pound in the freezer for next time. Now my mom, we just had this long debate about the bell pepper and whether we should cook it for a little bit in boiling water, or basically she's saying to blanch it, so that helps it soften it a bit. So even though we're gonna pan fry it with the tofu, she feels that blanching it will make it a little softer, so it'll be easier to eat. I feel it's a little extra step that might be a little bit more work, and I don't really mind the crunchiness of the bell pepper. So she's going with that plan, and hopefully it'll taste just as fine. So we'll see. So we have this big skillet with that we warmed up some canola oil. You see, there has to be a lot of oil to sort of pan fry the tofu and the fish cake. So my mom puts in the fish cake side first, so that cooks first. So basically we're just cooking both sides. My mom says not to worry about cooking the other corners. You just want to cook the flat end. And she says it's better to use a chopstick. For her, she feels if you use a spatula, she feels that'll break the tofu and mess it up. So she likes to use a chopstick, which I find a little hard, but she's a Chinese cook, so she likes it that way. Cooking the green bell peppers that's been stuffed. When we put it in, it's the same technique like the tofu, where we put the fish cake side down first. My mom says to press down on it a little bit to make sure that the fish cake sticks to the bell pepper. She says this cooks pretty fast, so after letting the fish cake brown a little bit, then she's basically just we were done cooking everything, and now my mom just pretty much put everything back into the skillet. We added some cornstarch water to make some sauce with some oyster sauce, and that's basically just the flavoring. Now what we did also is whenever there's too much sauce and it's too thick, we just add a little bit of add a little bit of chicken broth just to thin it out, just so we get that right texture. But my mom wanted to make sure that we had enough sauce for all this tofu and bell pepper that we cooked earlier. So now we're just making sure it all gets coated and has that nice little sauce to it. And then we're done with the dish.